Welcome back to Coffee with the Authors. In this episode, we're going to talk about whether or not you need to count words as you write.
That's become more of a thing these days than it was maybe 10 or 20 years ago because of the internet. I tend to blame the internet on this. There's so much out there about how to write a book, and it's almost like they talk about constructing a book, almost like, you know, part A, part B, part C, part D, and all these things you need to do. And one of the things you see a lot of is basically you need to try to hit some goals of writing X number of words per day. And if you try to count words and you don't hit them, you're going to write 1,000 words, you only write 700, you feel bad. Or if you don't count words at all, you feel like you're doing something wrong, you're not a real writer. And that can lead to kind of imposter syndrome or FOMO or whatever you want to call it.
I personally never count my words. I feel like if I give myself some artificial quantity that I need to fill by the end of the day, that I'm going to feel that pressure of it, and that maybe what I churn out isn't going to be as good as it could be if I let it stew a little bit, if I let it like simmer. I find that I can write a certain amount and then I sort of run out of steam. And so I'll do other aspects of being an author. I answer my emails, I'll do other things, scheduling visits. There are a lot of aspects to being an author that are administrative. So I'll do some of those, and then when I'm sick of those, I will get back to writing, because then I'm kind of refueled. It's like any fire burns out if you don't refuel it. So with writing, I can write a certain amount, I need to refuel with something else, and then I can get back to writing.
Think about this. No one who really matters really cares how long it took you to write the manuscript. Imagine you send a story off to an agent or an editor in New York, and they're reading it and they like it, but they don't love it. It's kind of, you know, it's B+ to them, and they're going to send you their standard boilerplate letter. But just at the very end of the manuscript, there's a little handwritten note. It says, hang on a second. I wrote this entire manuscript in 3 weeks. Are they going to all of a sudden pick the phone and call her assistant and say, get over here and offer this person a contract right away? Because if they can write a B+ manuscript in 3 weeks, then they're an amazing writer and I want to sign them. Or do they just kind of go like, I don't know what this means, and then they still send the boilerplate letter, right? And they don't really care that you banged this, 100,000 word manuscript out in 4 weeks. They're not impressed. All they care about is the writing. So if you do count words, it's strictly for your own motivation.
I think there's probably been a handful of days that I've written 1,000 words in a day. Those have been very, very rare days. It's certainly not a measuring stick that you should hold up to yourself. We know a really famous writer who is gotten tons of awards. She writes a page a day, a page or maybe 2 pages a day, and that's it. She's done, and she goes on to do other things. So word counting, although it can be a motivator for you, like I want to hit this mark, I want to get in the habit of writing, it can serve you well in that regard. It shouldn't give you FOMO, and it shouldn't make you feel like you're not a writer if you're not hitting that mark.
Okay, so the lesson here isn't never count your words and only write 1 page a day. That's as goofy as saying you have to write 10,000 words a day. The lesson here is that what really makes for a productive writer is that kind of sustained level of effort over time. In other words, you work at it regularly most days, and you kind of make the sustained effort for a long period of time, doing the very best that you can. That's what will lead to a well-written manuscript when you get done. But at least for me, it's not about hitting some artificial mark. Sometimes I'm out of gas at 500 words, and sometimes I've written several pages and I want to keep going. So I kind of let my creativity be my guide to what my output's going to be on any given day. And personally, for me, that works better than me trying to meet some artificial word count. Although if it works for you, by all means do it, but don't feel like you have to do it. I think that's the real point here.
Sometimes it turns out that a good day of writing for me means I wind up with less words than I started with.
Yeah.
Because the story's stronger for the subtraction instead of the addition. So maybe reframe the way you look at counting words, because minus can be a plus.
So we hope you got something out of this, and that you'll like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. In the meanwhile,
remember to dream big, work hard, don't necessarily count your words, and don't give up.
And always, always, always keep writing. Don't stop.
Now I had a frog in my throat.
Ribbit.
Ribbit.